Hi, this is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here today with another episode of the Witches Booktube. And today we're going to be talking about a book called Speaking with Nature by Sandra Ingerman Llyn Roberts. So the book is subtitled Awakening the Deep Wisdom of the Earth. And I'm going to try to read a little bit about both authors. It's two authors. So Sandra Ingerman, MA, is the author of 8 books, 7 CD programs, and the creator of Transmutation app. She is a world-renowned teacher of shamanism and has been teaching for over 30 years. And I'm going to leave it there because I think that that's more than enough. And then Llyn Roberts is a prominent teacher of healing and shamanism, and she is the co-author with Sandra Ingerman of the Nautilus Gold Medal Award-winning book, Speaking with Nature, as well as a few other books. So I'm going to leave it there because they both have quite an extensive history with shamanism and writing, and they're long bios, and I'm not going to read them all out loud to you here, but if you want to check them out, they're on Goodreads and they're also on Amazon. So this book, it's a beautiful cover and also has really lovely illustrations inside. If I can show you. I really enjoyed the illustrations. So let me tell you what this book is about. This book is a series of essays between, almost as if they're in conversation with one another between the two authors. And they describe it in the very beginning where they had chosen a loose list of the different aspects of nature that they wanted to cover, and then they kind of dialogue back and forth about those things in these essays. This book, I really enjoyed it. It was a really lovely respite from the other books that I've been reading that are very instructional, which I love. I love books that are instructional, and I love books that teach me something. And even though this book actually sets out to do that as well, it didn't feel that way. It felt very much like a meandering meditative journey on nature in a way that really nourished me. And it was really an interesting thing. It was a very visceral experience because the one thread really throughout the entirety of the book is about connecting with various parts of nature and how lessons can be learned through that connection, which is something that I think is probably at the core of most witches' lives. Some witchcraft traditions and some witches tend to either focus more on like ancestral and spirit connection as opposed to earth and nature, and some then also connect with more earth and nature and the elements around them. And they're both beautiful and they're both powerful. But I think that there's something really beautiful about being in nature regardless, because there is a relationship that can start to develop. And I think that we kind of miss out on that a lot with our noisy lives. There's just so much noise. There's noise going on back there, so you can hear it somewhere down in the house. And from all the books that I've been reading and just a lot of the dialogue on social media and all the writing I've been doing, this just felt like a really restful journey. It reminds me of the book that we talked about a few weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago by Clarissa Pinkola Estes and Carolyn Mace. It was very much that type of experience where with that I felt like I was sitting in and listening to a very deep and spiritual dialogue between two people who were very internally well understood. Like they understood their internal terrain and they had an ongoing and intimate relationship with their intuition. This book felt very much to me like listening in and getting a glimpse into the internal dialogue that each of these women have with nature and the different aspects of nature that lent them lessons. I thought it was really beautiful. Each essay comes with its own practice to tap into certain aspects of nature, which I thought were lovely. I mean, none of it felt like it was teaching me something and here's a practice to do. It just all seemed to flow really beautifully in a really gentle way. It was an interesting experience because I really, like I said, I felt like each essay that I read felt like its own journey and its own meditation and looking in on someone's intimate dialogue with different parts of nature. And I want to read to you really quickly the table of contents and the different parts of nature that they actually talked about or they write about. So chapter 1, and I'm just going to read them all through: snowy owl, glacial silt and sand, blackberry plant and white rose, artesian springs and mists, wild plum seeds and earth goddess Noon Kui, banana slugs and earthworms, black bear, corn, juniper trees and lady of the sycamore, elk and snake, wood sorrel and mushroom, wild western hemlock tree and cottonwood tree, and the hidden folk and the spirit of the land and star beings and starry princesses. It was really, really a beautiful read, I have to say. And I would definitely recommend reading this book while you're outside, wherever you may be living. So it could be in a park, it could be on your porch, it could be in your backyard, or I was really fortunate I was reading it on our deck, which is surrounded by beautiful trees. It just felt nourishing. And it also reminded me of how intimate our relationship can be with nature. It was really lovely. I really recommend it. Here it is. Speaking with Nature, Awakening to the Deep Wisdom of the Earth. And as with all the other books that I've shared, I think there were 2 others in the past, the one that I just mentioned, and also the one on the Llewellyn Little Book of Psychic, I think, Development. As with those books, this book is more focused on tuning in to that part of you that is connected, that knows, that has a dialogue with the unseen and the seen. Really beautiful. There you go. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Please, if you've read it, let me know. If you haven't, I'd love to know what your opinions on this topic is. I'm also going to try to remember to remind you all to please subscribe, because some of you have emailed me like, I missed it. When did you release your video? When are you going to bring out another video? If you subscribe to these videos or subscribe to this channel, then you're going to get like a little notice that a new video has come up. So there's that. I will link this book down below with a bunch of other links, and I will talk to you again next week. Take care.